Welcome in, everyone. RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here, John here.
Oh,
All right.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Yeah, I think we on Saturday. Let's recap a little bit of my day. I went to City Stadium, saw the Kickers lose. As my camera bumps in and out, hopefully that will come back soon. Just lovely. It's quitting, you know what, we're gonna push through. We're just gonna push through.
At least it'll be audio for
At least
half of it.
at least there's still audio. At least there's still audio. So yeah, like my camera shorting out. Of course, DC United losing 7-1. And then suddenly my wife and I looked at the ceiling of our brand new house that we just purchased and said, "Hey,
no.
what's that brown spot on the
Oh, no.
ceiling above our master bathroom?" So that's been my weekend. It's just been, kind of piling on top of piling. Work's been rough. But DC United's like, you know what? We're just going to pile a 7-1 game, and guess what? You got to talk about that. So
what a challenging and unwelcoming welcome to homeownership there. I think it's been less than 2 weeks, right? 3 weeks maybe?
Yeah, three. It's been we're at the month period. I think we closed on the 9th of May. So we're at the month period. So it's like
you're at the 30-day return policy. You can be like, "Hey, fix this, please." Right? That's how that works. That's how home buying works.
Exactly. I was like, "Oh shoot, let's call the maintenance." Oh
no,
nope, all on me.
It's gonna get really good at YouTube, Ted, and Googling plumbing hacks. I had a better weekend than Ted. I will just say that from the top. I was in New York City with my friend, doing cool stuff, eating nice food, seeing the Yankees get beat by the Red Sox, and absorbing the 7-1 defeat via my phone and via our Discord, going into further and further, deeper and deeper holes of sadness. That's how I experienced it. But, a mixed bag for me on and off the field this week. But, I think I had an idea when we were watching this, is that, boy, I don't feel like talking by ourselves about another shellacking this team faces, another almost historic defeat. I don't feel like it. I don't know what the point of doing it would be. And then I thought, wouldn't it be cool if other people did that for us to some degree? This is the first time we've done this. I would like to keep doing it. And we're going to figure out probably a more cohesive way to get these sent in. And so I don't have to beg for it over and over again. But maybe after listening to the first time, people will say, "Hey, I'd like to hear my voice on there." So I'll respond next time. But before we do that, I guess we should probably talk about what occurred to make people feel the way they feel now.
Yeah. So DC United, of course, playing during the international break, which is a very smart move. A lot of players missing. I could go through the list of players. Kai Roll's not there. Matty Peltola not there. Borisino not there. That's going to become important, I think, in this game. Your two starting center midfielders, I'm calling them starting right now. They played a excellent game against Cincinnati in the midfield. They controlled that game. They limited the chances. And then they both went away for international break. I think what Matty's going to be away too for like the Euro. Did I read that he's going to be away for the Youth Euros? Not really sure what's going on there. Maybe there might be something coming up.
There was I didn't see the quote yet. I just heard it mentioned. So apparently he said something when he went back to camp about being unsettled or being unhappy, which who could blame him if that were true?
Yeah. He's not getting the opportunity. He's not getting the starting jobs. He has started to get opportunities to make his case, but maybe making his case pretty good because in his place in the center midfield was Brendan Cervenia and Rita Zohir. I've been a long person who does not understand why Troy trusts Rita Zohir. But this time there was no other person to play center midfield. So I guess you gotta throw him out there.
Really, Jackson Hopkins, this was your moment, man, and you just keep getting hurt over and over again.
Yeah,
you just can't be available.
So basically, it went about as well as you could have expected. DC United were just completely bypassed in transition. All the goals came from transition moments, which this team has struggled against. And the formation shift that they made, is supposed to guard against that. And it didn't today. They looked just completely overrun, scrambling, nothing really. It was sloppy goals all around, and transition moments, and the midfield was completely just bypassed every time. It was like there was no presence where Chicago felt threatened. I felt in the midfield. Um, this is a game that should not have happened. DC United has a choice. They have a choice when they make the schedule as to whether you play for international breaks. It's basically an option. It's like, do you want to make your team available for these international breaks? And DC United, I guess, rose their hand or said, we'll take that. And it's pretty easy for me to see why. Because if you don't play these games, then you're probably substituting it with a Wednesday game where there are fewer tickets and fewer sales. And to me, I'm going right into this. To me, it undersells. It undersells for me. It shows where this team's priorities are.
Yes.
And they're not on being a competitive soccer team. I truly, and this isn't really a knock on Troy and Allie. I do believe they are doing their damnedest to try to put a competitive product on the field and to try to find players that can serve this team. They are working within what ownership gives them, but the business operations of this team, everything else around this team is pulling, no, we cannot sacrifice a Saturday night game. Those are the only reason we'll get, bored parents that take their kids out to a game because tickets are cheap because the team is bad. We can't sacrifice that. And now you are losing season ticket holders. We've had people come in and say, I'm done. This is it.
Yep.
Canceling season tickets.
This was also the first time that the Spirit have outdrawn DC United at home on the same weekend in history. So just kind of interesting that it happened this weekend on the back of a 7-1 loss and the Spirit losing their coach to, their cousin team, and then going out there and putting a wallop on the opponent. So, things are bad. Things are very not good. I think, it is a fair excuse to talk about a lot of the stuff, to talk about sort of the missing players. I made the joke that the reason the team is so bad is because they're too good and they have too many international players. And in the past, that would never be a problem because they wouldn't have any players that were good enough to play for any national team. So it didn't make a difference. And now we find ourselves in the situation where actually it's half the team, unfortunately. So that's fair. I mean, Chicago was missing two of their best players. The guys who scored, the guys who we made look like the best team in the universe, or some of the best players are not going to wow anybody. Gutierrez scored at the end, but Barlow is not going to be. Has he made? Am I recalling? Did he make like a January U.S. national team camp one time?
Possibly. There's a lot of players that made that January
very
camp.
fringy, the fringiest of fringy, if possible. So, I think the defending looked like it did at the beginning of the year. And also at times last year where they get pulled out of position and then Bartlett is in the sprinting. Let me see if I can keep up your center forward, putting the ball over the top. And he's not going to ever. Neither would Kai Rouse, I think, honestly. I think that's just if we lose shape to the point and we don't have any pressure on their wingbacks so that they can't just pick balls over the top, that will happen. There's not really any players. Do you want to call out anybody that did? I mean, hard to say 7-1. Anyone did well. Did anyone not do horribly in your mind? Barraza's probably, if June was available for the next game, just on the basis of like, well, if you did it last time, if San Jose warranted a change, Chicago probably should warrant a change. But he's not healthy, so.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really. Maybe we'll see Jordan Farr out. Who knows?
There you go. Yeah, that's the rule. If you allow a touchdown, regardless of the defense in front of you, you have to sit down the next game.
I mean, he came in and made some. I think there was one time
3 or 4 saves. I think.
Yeah, they were down 1-0, and I think a shot goes off the post, and then no one reacts, and then there's a kind of a point blank shot, and Barraza loses his mind. He is like, "What is going on?" Like
I think he was in a kill when the 7th goal went in. He was really. He was good. He stole the ball out of Bartlett's hand to the 3rd goal. So, I mean, he knows how this looks. Yeah. Like he it's like his name is signed on that thing. So he it's not good. His stats are not going to recover.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, I'd call it anybody who did well. How can you call it anybody who did well in a 7-1 win? I guess Baji got a goal. Great. Gavin Turner made his first appearance. I don't think he really
Stroud
did.
was almost a 7. That was what I was getting at. There was a funny little after this. I think it was down 6-1 or 5-1 maybe, and he was the only green number. I was like, well, how did that happen? What numbers is he just not around? Like when things happen, like everything's just happening outside of the field. It was
I
just a funny little.
I guess so. I mean, I mean, this was awful. It was terrible. It was bad. You know, I don't, I want, and, people, we have to do a podcast about this team every Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to think that, there have been some positive signs, particularly after the Cincy game, where you're like, okay, the team is under talented. That's clear. They need a DP. They need somebody out there creating chances. But maybe there is some gleam where if you can just raise the talent level a little bit on this team, they can, the other players will elevate and suddenly things will be better. And that's what you hope for. And really, I mean, this summer this is it. Like, I feel like this is potentially the breaking point for me, potentially the breaking point for a lot of fans. If you do not do something, and I'm not even talking Paul Pogba, I think that's pretty much done.
He's gone. He's going to Ligue 1.
Okay, yeah. So there you go. Great. Glad we went with the frickin' 3-3 model and not have the million in GAM. Thank you, Levian. For that BS. But
De Bruyne is still available though. Hey, they're still,
he's going to Chicago. I mean, that's pretty much done. That's pretty much.
Well, they
done
needed him. Clearly, their offense is not doing well. They needed help.
I don't know, maybe 7 goals. They're like, you know what? Actually, I think I'll go to DC. And they need more help. They need more help than me.
I want the challenge.
But no, it really is like, I mean, we're coming up June 9th. Window opens, I think, in a month or so. This team, I better start hearing in the next couple of weeks that this team has a signing ready to go. The Europe window's closed. The Europe teams are starting to look, and right now it's been a little quiet, and that's a little concerning, I think, from this point. I would have hoped to have heard at least a little bit about who this team has been talking to, who they're looking at signing, because this team needs a big splash this summer. They need a big number 10 creative player, attacking player. This has to be a player that leaps off the page, that shows that you are serious and you are ready to contend. And he needs to hit. Like, this has to hit. If he doesn't hit
immediately too, it has to not only hit, but it has to hit the ground running. He has to we can't do in a year he'll be ready to go. Like, you got to put the tires on the ground immediately.
No, he has to hit. He has to be a 100% a hit. So that's what this team faces right now.
You got to do a Benteke again, basically.
Yeah, it's and I don't know if it's fair to Ali, but this is the direction he took this club. So,
you took this job, man.
Yeah. This is what he did. He could have done something differently. He could have done things way differently. This is what he decided to trade Click. He decided to wait until the summer.
Yep.
He decided to go and get the players he got. And, I don't think he found a lot of terrible players. I think he found some okay to pretty good players, but okay to pretty good doesn't cut it in this Eastern Conference. Okay to pretty good doesn't cut it.
I still think ownership forced the Ted sale based on a very weird answer that Troy gave in a press conference about, I had my thought, Ali had his thought, and ownership had their opinion quite obviously on it, I think is what he said. So we assume this was all Ali's plan. I assume that is the case because he took the job and he was probably told this is what our resources are, and he was probably within those constraints you get to play and you'll be accountable after 3 years or whatever. I don't think Jason knows enough to meddle in roster composition formats. He knows enough to be like, hey, Paul Pogba would be cool, but I think that's really where that ends. He's not a spreadsheet guy, I don't think.
I truly think that
we're speculating, by the way.
Yeah, we're speculating. I think the Ted sale was, you look at the timeline of when they started talking to Paul Pogba, the fact that they had to go with the 3-3 model and they didn't get that extra $1 million in GAM. Colorado comes with an offer for $1 million and they're like, there's our $1 million in GAM to cover our roster right now that we weren't going to get out of the 2-4 model. And they went and they made the sale. And I mean, to be honest, I haven't really looked at Ted DiPietro's numbers. I know he's been starting for Colorado, but I mean, hasn't really been lighting up yet.
No,
We'll see what happens. He doesn't
would
look
he be
very
better
happy.
than Rita Zohir?
Yeah, he would be 100%. He would be, and that's my conspiracy theory is that that he needed the million in GAM. He was going to get it, and then ownership was like, nope, we're going to go get Paul Pogba, and so you have to keep that DP slot open because he's a free agent and he might sign before the window closes. So you have to hold that slot open, and you got to figure out a way to make the other pieces of your roster fit. That's my conspiracy theory in all of this. That's the only way to me that it makes sense. So I don't know. We're probably both wrong, but
Yep. But we'll never know. We'll never know. We will never know. So let's get into the thing I talked about doing. We've got four listeners who called in and are going to share their thoughts on how they're feeling as DC United fans on the back of the season so far and the 7-1 loss at home to Chicago. This is Carlton.
Hey, RFK Refugees. Thanks for the opportunity to sound off. To sum it up, pure frustration. Not sure what else to say other than that. There isn't one particular person to blame for last night's effort, as it just wasn't good enough for sure. But I can tell you that it looks like we have very, very soft ownership who doesn't support, and that's not acceptable. We all work our tails off and lay down good, hard money, and we deserve at least a palatable product, which we're not getting. You can't have just one person be the focal point and expect us to be a competent team. The guy's been hurt for 4 to 6 weeks with no end in sight. Something's got to change.
So that was Carlton. I love the dramatic pause at the end. It made me feel like we're doing StoryCorps or NPR. I think that's something that isn't talked about how, we look at this. Neither of us are season ticket holders, by the way, obviously. We have our dedication is in our time and effort, which there is a considerable amount. But there are a lot of people who are paying lots of money to support this team. There's the new AV lounge. There's the Bluefin Tuna Lounge or whatever the hell they're calling it. There's people that are spending thousands and thousands of dollars to go watch this team. There's people that are spending a couple $100 and still watching this team. Still money to them. It counts. And when you look at this roster that's built and you look at the ambition you've seen in certain windows, understanding, of course, we've consult the records. We have talked about all the excuses about why we did those things and why it made sense and blah, 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 blah. But this is still at the end of the day like a dollars and cents proposition. It's about your entertainment dollars, the way you spend your time. Why should you re-up your tickets for next year based on this year, based on the plan, based on the 3-year plan that was sold to us last year? Why would you do it if you weren't in a contract already? You're already very, as it stands, going to get your 30%?
30% back. Yeah.
You're already looking like you're going to get a return. Maybe they amp it up to 50% next year. I don't know. Maybe how this works, but so that was Carlton. Do you have any thoughts on Carlton? We're going to roll the next one.
No, I mean, I think he hits all the points. I mean, I think you're right about the time. Why would you buy season tickets for next year? My recommendation is don't. Yeah, I don't. Just hold it off. See what happens this summer window. Maybe there's something that gives you a little bit of hope, but other than that, just hold off.
I have seen people in the community in our Discord on Blue Sky, less on Blue Sky now, but on Discord and Reddit, people that I have seen be positive for like a long, long period of time, and people are starting to break. Yeah, people are starting to give up, and that's you want to see that. Next one is Elijah M.
The RFK Refugees, longtime listener, first time caller. I think. Generally feeling pretty down about this team and about this season. Felt more positive, obviously, after the win in Cincinnati. It seemed like things were starting to click. But, understanding the situation with the international call-ups going on, but to see this team concede 7 to another team in Chicago's position, and with similarly an impacted roster was brutal. Makes you not really want to tune in and keep watching.
Yeah, that is the other part of the Chicago thing is that that is still or it's the other thing about losing 7-1. It was against Chicago, a team that we looked at the beginning of this year, like, oh, they got a new coach, but we're still I think we played them at the beginning of the year and the score was 2-2.
2-2. Yeah,
we were upset that we didn't get a win. We were like, yeah, of course we're gonna win. We're gonna win these first 4 games. How could we not? Toronto's horrible, Chicago's bad, Montreal's bad, and we beat none of them.
I do take a little issue with similarly. We were far
more impacted.
We were far more impacted than I think Chris Brady was like the only notable person I recognized on the Chicago roster that was missing.
Wasn't Kuipers missing?
Maybe he was. Yeah, maybe Kuipers was missing. But still, I mean, they still had Kellen Acosta out there. They still had several of their starting quality players out there, and they still had some good depth as well. They did not have to dig as far into the depth as we did. I don't think on their roster.
Troy was forced to give a player that people have been calling for to play for 4 months, forced to give him 30 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, what do you do? And I think to me, the nature, I mean, if this game is 3-0, if it's 3-1, if it's 2-1, I think we can look at this and say, well, we just didn't have, even 3 or 4-1. I think we can just say, I think you can use kind of the, they didn't really, they were, look how dead they were. Losing 7-1 is like you gave up. Like the entire roster just gave up. I think a lot of those players out there on the field, I think I'd be surprised. Maybe some will still go out there. Baji will probably still be out there by necessity. But I mean, do you really maybe this is the game where finally Troy's like, maybe Reed O'Heir is not the guy to have out there, but
maybe.
I think there will be players that will suffer for this and they will be pushed down the pecking order because they just did not perform. And that's what happens. There are consequences.
I really do want to see Jordan Farr against Salt Lake. I know it's not. I just want to see it. I want to see us go down the list. Like, all right, well, we bought 3 goalies. We're going to try them all.
I just have found this funny too. I want to show this. I missed Enow. I missed Enow so much. I'm like,
we're bizarre world.
What a change! What a change! A change of pace we've had here.
There are players that make him look good. It's true.
Yeah.
Fidel Barajas, by the way, has 2 more games left in his loan. He played 10 minutes. So wonder if you'll see him similarly in Salt Lake or Nashville.
Yeah. Who knows?
Third clip. This is Ross.
Ross Wilkers here. How am I feeling? Seeing DC United when they've been great, very good, not good, and even bad. This is one of the rare times where, in following this club, I feel hopeless. Like they've hit rock bottom, fallen, and can't get up. And it must be said that for as much as we hearken back to the glory days of the team, it's harder to achieve that in today's league with the structure and the rules are what they are. However, being this bad, being this decrepit, and allowing this DC team to crumble, it's bad for soccer, it's bad for the league, and I'm not sure that the current ownership in place understands that. And it's a time of mourning for me.
Ross is not one of the guys that has normally been very positive. I think he's been here for a while at this particular. I don't know. I love all you guys. I don't know you personally. Talk to me on the Discord more so I can know who you are. But I followed you on different stuff. The community is small enough that I recognize all these names, which is wild. And I think he's been sort of in this boat for a little while. But yeah, I mean, the problem is we have the world historic worst season, and we have some win. We're still we're in the hunt. We beat Cincinnati last week. Like, we're annoyingly not moribund.
The only reason Troy Lesesne still has a job is because this team is still in the Open Cup. That is if they had lost that penalty shootout to Charlotte, I think Troy Lesesne would have been maybe not let go. They would not have a job. Like, he would be done. I fully believe like he is in Mendelsohn 2013 mode. I think that's why you're not seeing. I think I'm not sure what Benteke's injury is, but I have a strong feeling. I have a strong suspicion that he might be ready to go, but there is probably like a no. We're gonna like the most important game for him to be healthy right now is July 7th, 8th, whatever that game is against Nashville. That is the most important game.
The 9th. Yeah, send him to Nashville now. Let him get acclimated to Tennessee. Let him eat the local food.
Let him grab some hot chicken.
Grab some hot chicken. Stay there for 2 weeks. He can stay in the weird. So I am going to be there, as I've already said. Maybe I watched the end of Troy Lissane's Reign. Maybe that's possible. I'm in like some weird. I wanted to get the cheapest hotel. I'm trying to do this as cheaply as possible because it's dumb. Like inherently, I'm going to see like an Open Cup game on a Wednesday. I'm flying on points. I'm staying in what I think is like an office building that they put a bed in at night. And they just give me like a 4-digit code, and then I go in, and there's no other furniture except for the bed in the room. So it's right across the street from the stadium, though. So that is cool. I know that a lot. I don't say a lot. I know that there were quite a few people talking about going to this game. I hope that in light of that, people don't decide not to go, and it's just me going. That's possible. But yeah, I'm wondering if, to your point, that all of the cards are on that game at this point. So
yeah, it's 2013, man. It's the season's riding on this. If this team finds a way to magically make their way to the final and win the Open Cup, just like they did in 2013, the mood of this whole organization will shift, and it will shift fairly drastically. Because you will have, you'll get Champions League, you'll get all the things that this team used to compete for. It would be, and you know what? It's surprisingly doable. You look at July 9th. I need to check. When does the international window open? I'm trying to.
Not sure.
Yeah.
Are you ready to see Rita? Are you ready to see Rita Zohir start for the Champions League first group stage game next year when we make it in?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I really want to know the MLS transfer window now.
Devin McTavish scoring goals against Harbor View FC.
And then come on,
I miss those days. We also have after the Nashville Open Cup game, we travel the rest of the way across the country to play in the Wooden Spoon Derby against LA Galaxy in LA.
Thursday, July 24th is actually when the window opens, so it's much later than I thought it was.
So in 2, 4, 7 games from now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I guess back to Ross's point. I think mourning, is a good way to describe it. I feel like a lot of us, and maybe Ross was among these, that were like hopeful once. I think that's what really has been the breaking point. And I think a lot of people have talked about it. It's been, first it was, well, we got to get Casper out. We got to get someone new in there that can think about it. Casper's gone now. You're just kind of moving up the ladder of, first it was Olsen. Then it was like, okay, Casper's the problem. You harp on him for years. Now Casper's gone. Now it's like Ali's in here. And it's like, and then, you have the Pogba situation, the fact ownership is going after it. It really just feels like this team, again, the directionless nature of the club. It starts at the top. I was hopeful that, Ali would come in and Ali would have that direction. He would have that vision. Ownership would be bought in, and they would just sit to the side, let him do what he wants to do. But it's pretty clear that he was kind of brought in. And I think back to this. His first interview was not him alone. It was not Ali Mackay alone talking about the club. It was Ali Mackay and Jason Levian. They were the ones that did the interview. I think the first interview with Stephen Golf.
The last time you saw Jason Levian, by the way.
Yeah, that was the first, and that should have been a message that, this isn't Ali. Ali's not running the show, or not fully running the show. It is still coming from ownership, and ownership is willing. Ownership thinks that they can go out and sign players like Pogba. They're probably getting a guy in there because I'm sure Jason maybe doesn't trust finding some of the complementary pieces. But if there's a big piece, you bet that there's a say in there. And I think that should have been telling when that interview first happened.
Yeah. I saw an interview in The Athletic about Rabel Morrison and him saying he wanted another chance and like everything was against him. they didn't even mention his time in DC United, other than to say that Wayne Rooney brought him in, and everything was about his past. That's why he didn't get a fair shake. I was like, I don't think that was what happened to you here, man. No one will ever say, but I don't think it was that. Moving on, last clip. This is Nick.
This is Nick Michaels. Thanks for this opportunity to share thoughts. What I've been feeling recently is a loss of pride. I became a DC United supporter in 2006, 2007. Obviously, we were doing well in MLS at that point. We would also punch above our weight in CONCACAF and with international friendlies. Now, obviously, the results in MLS have been very poor for many years. When we have international games, we have embarrassed ourselves. And that's really too bad. I found myself a decade ago telling friends about how DC United is underappreciated and actually much better than what the media would give them credit for. But now, it's the opposite. I will leave one positive note. If we ever get back to the playoffs and win some games, the joy we will feel will be much greater than if we had just consistent success over the last decade or so. We will just not be used to it, and it will feel great. So here's hoping for that. Thanks again.
I like that. That makes us like Red Sox fans before 2003. Like it's just like an era of suffering. And because the league is only 25 or 26 years old, depending on how you count, I think based on how long it's been, if you like dog years, I think that's not probably too far off. I think that's probably pretty right.
What made, I mean, you talk about 2013, what made that trophy feel so special? I think more special than, 2004 I'd say was big. I remember that. That was me. I started really, I've been a fan. I've been to games 96, 97, but you're 10, 11 years old, really like after the World Cup US, and then kind of entering that 2003 DC United. That's when I really started to like focus in and kind of seeing that, team culminate in the 2004 MLS Cup and then, the years that followed. But what made 2013 special was just how awful the team was and how bad they were and how it was just so unbelievably like non-watchable soccer. And then they kind of went on this magical run. And I think the old black and red, I think it was Martin, and I can't remember his last name. I think it was Schatzer. Yeah, it was after the Chicago game where this team won and they made it to the final. And he was like, you guys, DC's fun to watch again. And, then they go in, win that tournament, win that trophy. And that felt, I mean, I remember the like celebration at Gus's in Richmond. I just moved to Richmond at the time and everything surrounding that was so cool and so fun. And the joy you felt just winning that trophy, putting a trophy in the trophy case. It felt really good. And so, yeah, I mean, I contend like this will feel, if this team does manage to put it together and as far away as that seems right now, things can change quickly and they can change very, very quickly in this league. If this team does put it together, if they find a way to be successful and win, the joy will be very much unmistakable. It'll be, that's what sports is really all about. People ask, why do you support bad teams? Because when they're good, when they're amazing, and when they're fun, there's no better feeling. And I guess the last time I experienced it was the Kickers in 2022, where after just being like showing up to games and getting walloped like 7-0, similarly against Louisville, and then having a team that was fun to watch and winning that, supporters. The supporters shield, I guess, for USL. That stuff can be a lot of fun. So, yeah, man, it's a good point to have. I like that we ended on that one. I guess. Give some hope.
I love doing this, guys. So I think I'm speaking for Ted. We're gonna keep doing this. It depends on like what happens in the week. But no matter what, I think we probably dedicate a little time to this. So if you want to be on the show and have something to say, rfkrefugees.com or no, rfkrefugees@gmail.com. Get our clips in. I listen to these before I put them on, and I will do that again to make sure that you don't say anything crazy on here. But please do speak your mind. I think there's a place for that. I think so. It's not just the couple of podcasts that still exist telling you what they think. Get your thoughts on too.
Did we?
Unless you disagree with our thoughts, and then we will not play you because we enforce a message discipline.
Did we miss one, by the way? I feel like I saw someone.
No, we got
post. 4. Okay, we got 4. Okay, I thought someone posted in our Discord just now, so maybe someone actually.
Maybe hold on, that's possible.
I want to make sure we get them all.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just vamp for 20 seconds for me.
Yeah, I feel like the depression is really what's hit me with a lot of these fans. I think a lot of people that there's not really madness at that result, and I felt it too, just like watching the stands. Like I just I'm not angry anymore. It's just sad. I want this team to make me feel give me some life. Looking at Cincinnati, looking at that game, even that game after that game, I was just kind of like, okay, they won, that's good, but I don't really feel. It didn't feel like sustainable. There were some good things, but again, it didn't feel like this was like a transformation of the team. And I guess that's maybe what I think we're all kind of looking for. We're looking for something to happen to this club in a game that actually says, "Oh, this is something that's actually like transformative." Like learning something new, seeing something different. And I think that's really been the problem this year, is that a lot of it stayed the same. Perani had a good game against Cincy, but he didn't do anything different or anything that made you go, huh. The only player that's really done that has been Joao Pedro. He's the only player that's come in and you feel like, okay, there's some good stuff here. Maybe Kojima has had some moments, though. I think he's kind of leveled out. So did we get another one, or did we?
That's it. He was just saying he wishes he had sent it in. So again, get us in next week if you're listening to this on Tuesday. We'll have, I think the next game is an away game to Salt Lake, but I don't think it's for a week. Is that possible? When's the
no, it's next week.
It's the 14th. It's Saturday.
Yeah, it's Saturday, 9:30, away game out in Salt Lake. Honestly, if you do a road trip, what?
I thought you were going to say winnable game, but go ahead.
No, saying if you do a road trip, going out to
Sandy,
Sandy, Utah is quite a fun trip. So definitely worthwhile, in my opinion. And we've got a lot of the other teams in the Club World Cup as well. That stuff's kicking off. And America's doing great.
We are. It is. I think anyone in the world would look at this country and say, I want to visit. Yeah. I want to give you my money and I want to come visit. That's what I want to do.
Definitely not worried about, a Gestapo type force picking me up off the street or denying me entry and forcing me into a windowless room while they ask me what I'm doing when I'm coming to the World Cup.
Just no chance of that.
No chance whatsoever. All right. Do we want to talk a little Spirit? Because yeah.
I don't have anything. They won. We talked a lot about the coach change last week.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to watch the game. So
very odd press conference, it seems like, that was held, where I think people are kind of asking the question as to why and not really getting a straight answer. Geraldes coached his last game. Team now goes kind of on a international type break. The team played well. This was another game where they looked really good. They completely dominated very much all phases of the game. Corey Bethune looks really good. Just a lot of sort of great passes. Gift Monday, I think, continues, in my opinion, to be kind of the underrated story amongst the watch season. And Brittany Radcliffe, man, she had herself a game.
Goal and assist, right?
Goal and assist. She hit the post at one point too. She looked really, really good in this game. And the header was just absolutely like hilarious, like kind of one of those like line drive headers where someone just like sticks their head out and there's just enough power that they can just like force it into the net. Just a great goal there. Great sort of counterattacking. This team is, I think, really starting to pick it up. They'll be a fun watch coming up. Hal Hirschfeld back healthy. Looks great. Rebecca Bernal, kind of that playmaking center back. She's been really good. So, despite the sort of the coach situation for this team continues to, I think, be able to spend and invest their money wisely to where they can make a difference. And it was a good game. And I think a dominant performance that they sort of needed to have if they're wanting to climb the standings. They're now sitting third in the standings. So they are 5 points out of first behind the Current, but they're currently tied with the Pride for that second spot.
And Trinity back stateside.
Yep, Trinity back state. So maybe we'll see her come back.
There are conspiracy theories afoot that her medical exile was related to not getting along with the coach. And as soon as the coach is on his way out, she comes back. We'll see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a good show. I'm sorry you had to look at just me for all of it. Make sure that you, go check out our patreon.com/RFK Refugees for the occasional second episode, but more really just, a chance to support the show and make sure we keep doing this to figure out what's wrong with Ted's camera that clipped out. And then, we'll be back with rain or shine. We'll be back next Monday, no matter how the Saturday goes, and talk about it. And if you want to have your say, like I said, rfkrefugees@gmail.com, send it in.
Yep. Vamos.